Welcome. I'm Michael Bickert. Thanks for joining me today as we explore concepts with the objective of improving your management skills and growing your business. Do you have your notepad and your pen handy? Good, because I want you to take notes. I want you to make a commitment to yourself that you will jot down some sort of action item that you can implement in your business today. That's what this is all about. Implementation to drive your business forward. Today, I want to issue a word of caution to you. I'm going to give you a little background here. In my management career, I've observed several times where people have pursued something that may be sort of ostensibly leading to success, easy success. And I think those are somewhat contradictory terms. We understand that hard work and a little bit of luck combined can lead towards success. But so in the automotive industry, there is a department called the F&I department. That is the Finance and Insurance department, F&I, Finance and Insurance. And the role of this department, ordinarily what would happen is the customer would purchase a vehicle and then they would meet with an F&I manager. They would meet with someone in the F&I department and you would be able to arrange financing or leasing. You'll be able to consider some of the various financing and leasing options and the various lenders, and they would also present to you accessories, extended warranties and protection packages, rust proofing and paint sealants and these types of things. And it's a very profitable department. The dealership, I think most people understand that the dealership doesn't make very much on the sale of an automobile. Well, at least on new vehicles. The margins are not very good on the vehicle itself. You can make pretty good money on a pre-owned vehicle, and most of you would probably say, yeah, I know that the money's made in service. And yes, there is a higher margin, a higher profit margin in the service department, and of course on parts and accessories, so customizing your vehicle and everything. But the highest margins are made on those products that you buy to protect your vehicle, those warranties and insurance and loan insurance and this kind of thing. And like I said, the protection packages, the various chemical packages that they apply to your vehicle to give you extra protection against rust and all the various things that may attack your vehicle over the years. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of these things, and certainly some people would very cynically say, well, that stuff is a scam. You should never buy an extended warranty. You should never buy those chemical packages, those protection packages. I don't agree with that assertion. Instead, I would say, yeah, they are the highest profit margin products that a dealership offers, but when you compare that with the profit margins offered on things that we purchase all over the place any other day of the week, that it's certainly not falling in the category of scam. So, you buy a nice bottle of wine when you go out to a restaurant, and the profit margin there is at least as high as these products, and the list goes on. You name it. There's nothing wrong with profit, and there's nothing wrong with an organization that has typically razor thin margins on, say, the big ticket item, such as the car, to have some higher profit margin items to accessorize with and everything. However, another thing most people don't understand is when you meet with the finance and insurance, the F&I manager, and you go through your credit application and you consider taking a loan through a bank, the banks actually pay a referral fee for that business. So, and it's a win-win situation because the banks are typically giving the dealers very attractive rates to pass along to the customers in order to entice them to get loan business to that specific bank. And depending on who's most motivated to lend money, different banks put out different interest rates to entice the customers, and that would be more and more aggressive interest rates if they're looking for more business, and they're how strictly they look at your credit, and their approval standards maybe go down a little bit when they're more aggressive trying to get the loans. And then the other thing is that the referral fee to the dealership, which is known as a reserve, that will increase, and they'll give extra money to the dealer to find business for them. So the reserve can be really a very lucrative thing for the F&I department. The reserve is almost strictly profit. I mean, there's no, other than the commission paid to the F&I manager for arranging the loan and the administration of that, there's very little cost to the dealership for that revenue source. That's a referral fee from the, so the cost of sale is just the commission paid to the person who arranges the loan. So it's very lucrative. And there was a time that I observed that the amount of reserve income relative to the various other forms of income being generated by that department was out of proportion. It was really high. And things were going great. If you just looked at the numbers, if you looked at a financial statement, you looked at that particular department and the various performance analytics we would look at, things were going really well. The average amount of profit they were making and everything was very, very high. And when I dug deeper, I found that it was due to this reserve income. And I cautioned the team. I said, well, you know, that sounds all well and good. You're setting records and you're profitable and it sounds like we have an alignment of objectives here. But when I look closer, you're actually going down in terms of your performance in a lot of the other products. And so some of those extended warranties, some of those chemical packages and those types of things where they had historically made a lot of their income, those had diminished. And I cautioned the team and I said, don't get too attached to that reserve income. It won't be there. It's transitory, it's temporary in nature, and you don't want to become complacent relying on that as an easy source of revenue. And then when that goes away, and I've seen it before, it will go away depending on the credit markets and the interest rates and the bank's appetite for lending. When it goes away, you don't want to have a very steep reduction in the income that you're able to generate. And I've seen this, that's one example. And that's the caution, that's the word of caution I want to give you. Now, I gave you an automotive example, but I've seen this throughout various types of business. And we can look at this in a broader sense. And let me give you another example on a large scale. So Tesla, very large company. Tesla was able to report profits in their quarterly earnings almost exclusively due to the fact, so their sales had been going in the right direction and everything, but if it was just looking at what you would think of as the traditional source of revenue that you might expect from Tesla, whether it be their electric vehicle sales or solar or the revenues they've generated from autonomous driving, income, these types of things, the actual thing that made them profit were regulatory carbon credits that they were able to sell to Fiat Chrysler, I believe at the time, was, they've since been acquired and the name of the group seems to change every few years, but to another automotive manufacturer, because there were these regulatory governmental credits for having low carbon footprint that were given to Tesla, they were able to sell those, and what can happen is one manufacturer can buy from another, and as long as you have those credits, they're exchangeable. As long as you have those credits, you can operate within the law. And so it was very lucrative for Tesla to sell these credits to Fiat Chrysler. And some people were very critical of that. So of course, those people who were invested in Tesla and wanted to see the stock continue to go up on a meteoric rise, they were very impressed, and they said, well, of course, you know, that's a genuine form of revenue, and that counts. And I agree, it does. You know, all revenue streams count. And those who were more critical, maybe those people who were shorting the stock, were saying, well, this is a bubble. Their stock is really got a lot of sizzle right now, but it's in bubble territory, and they're not really going to have sustainable profit here, because once they can't sell those regulatory credits anymore, they're not going to be profitable. And the debate rages on back and forth about, oh no, their sales continue to increase and they'll get it. But that's the point. The point is, you don't want to get too attached to an easy, let's say in air quotes, an easy form of income or easy form of revenue that may be transitory. It may be conditional and maybe based on some sort of temporary event, and that they're going to go away. And then when they do go away, is your business in trouble? There are other examples that come to mind for me, and that is due to, say, either black swan events or some sort of bubble in the economy. So if you have a real estate bubble, or there is something like, because of people working from home and this kind of stuff, that there may be opportunities, to call that a black swan event, and there may be opportunities for software and video conferencing tools and these types of things that may not be always as great as they will be at that moment. And those companies who rely heavily on those, or those individuals who rely heavily on those revenues or those, say, commissions, due to the skewed or distorted marketplace due to a black swan event or whatever, they may become complacent. And that's what I want to advise you against. You need to stay sharp. You need to continue to work on the skills of those things that are more foundational, those things that you can rely on heavily. And so this isn't necessarily one form of revenue that we're talking about. The underlying principle here is to stay sharp. Do not become complacent. Do not become soft or weak or dull because things are becoming easy. It may be that you, for whatever reason, experience things that are happening much easier than normal. And don't get too caught up in the boom times and the celebratory nature of what is happening, because that will end. We talk about this too shall pass ordinarily in the context of bad things, but the good times will go away as well. And those really effective managers, those really effective people will work to always leave their comfort zone and to work on improving those things, even in boom times, even when things seem easy. They won't rely on that. Instead, now, I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have taken advantage of those regulatory credits, those carbon credits. I'm not saying that that team should not have taken advantage of the opportunity to earn a whole bunch of reserve income, those referral fees from the bank. On the contrary, you need to take advantage. When the market presents you with opportunities, you need to strike while the iron's hot, take advantage of those opportunities, milk them for all they're worth. For sure, do that. That's absolutely critical. And effective and really well-seasoned managers know that, and they look for those opportunities and they exploit them to the greatest advantage of their business. That's a great thing. What I'm saying is, don't become complacent. Recognize in advance and strategize. Recognize that it's transitory. Recognize that this will not last. And so I'll take as much advantage of it as I can without allowing myself to become weak and to ignore those other areas of my business that I rely on more heavily, or those other skills that I have. You can get lulled to sleep, so to speak, thinking that your business is doing well, and you can trick yourself into believing that you're doing really well as a manager because of these types of things, where the market is to be credited, some things outside of your control. And that's what this comes back to once again. If some conditions outside of your control, we always say, if some conditions outside of your control are hurting you, don't focus on that, because there's nothing you can do about it. So focus on the things within your control. I'm now saying, when things outside of your control lend you a hand and create favorable conditions for you, then that's okay to exploit those, and you absolutely should. but don't rely on them. Be very careful, because when they go away, you can find out that your business is in really terrible shape. You can find out that you're in trouble very quickly, because you've been looking at your report card, you've been looking at your financial statements, your various performance analytics, like I described, and saying, oh, we're setting records, we're making new revenues, and you're crediting yourself and the value of your products and services, but it may be due to a condition outside of your control that is temporary. And therefore, always challenge yourself. Always look for those ways that you can step outside your comfort zone, to always learn and to improve your skills, to add more value to your products and services, to figure out better and better ways to communicate your unique selling proposition, your unique value proposition to your customers. If you find yourself in that fortunate position of being able to realize, let me call them easy or even lazy returns and yields based on your efforts, then count your blessings and be glad for it, but make sure you understand that it's temporary, and take the road, the narrow path. Take the narrow road. Go where everybody else is going on the easy path, you're going to take the more difficult path, because you know that these things won't last. And you want to build a business that will last a lifetime. You're not looking for, to rest on your laurels and get caught when things change and you're sort of, you're out there partying. You're building the ark. If I use my Bible metaphors, you're building the ark before the rain comes. You understand there will be a rainy day, and you're preparing for it. You're building on that. And what you want to these what I said are easy or lazy returns and yields. Those should be supplemental and incremental in nature. They should help you to set those records, and you should delight in them. But if you're just relying on those to stay afloat or to make reasonable levels of profit, and then they go away, that'll take you into the red, and you want to be very careful about that. It's all well and good for me to say you want to be careful about that, but what should you do? How should you make sure that you are mitigating against this possibility within your business? Now, the first thing you should do is analyze. Go back, brainstorm, and ask yourself, do I have something? Is there a source of revenue that is transitory in my business? Am I realizing some sort of unusually easy returns right now? Is there a spike in business because of market conditions that are very, very favorable to my business, but outside of my control? Maybe there is some sort of central authority restriction that limits your competition, and therefore people are turning to your product. But if things ever return to normal, then you might lose that business again. So when you're looking at these things, what should you do about it? And what I would encourage you to do is, once again, look to aligning the incentives, align the objectives of you and all of your stakeholders. But in particular, I would look at your people. So in the example I gave about those F&I managers who are relying heavily on that reserve income, those referral fees from the bank, that income, you'd look to them and say, how can we align our objectives and make sure that this is not creating too much temptation for them to focus only on that? And in your own organization, when you sort of brainstorm this and look at this, ask yourself, what are those things that people are pursuing because it's easier? And then underweight those in terms of remuneration or reward. Basically, you want to send a message in the way that you evaluate your people and you compensate or reward your people that it's great, we want those, and we want to reward our people for that. We want to commend them for getting that, making the most of those opportunities, but you want to underweight that. You don't want to be, really shouting from the rooftops how great they are for generating revenue in that way. Instead, overweight in terms of your proportions of what you're rewarding people for, what you are commending them for, and what are you paying them for, those things that are more base in nature that really will sustain your business and create a long-term success for you. So think about how you can do that, and think if there's anything in your organization that you're maybe putting too much emphasis emphasis on because you hadn't thought about it. This may have been unexpected, a blessing in disguise, some sort of surprise that came to you and you benefited from it and you didn't do anything about it. But I'm telling you, this can be insidious and it can take over, and all of a sudden people become very weak. So think of those skills that are necessary. And again, I want to go to you as a manager, as the business owner. You might think that your business is offering great value as evidenced by the particular profit and revenues that you are generating. But if there was some sort of black swan event or some unusual market condition that skewed and distorted the facts, distorted those numbers because you are getting a bit of a windfall, then be careful, because otherwise you would be needing to focus on creating more value on your product and service, and you would be spending your time innovating and adding to those things which are, or adding value, focused on those things which do add value, and don't get complacent. So just think of that. Try, I guess, in boom times and whatever is creating those boom times to have a level head and make sure that you're working on those same things that you would be working on in difficult times. That's what you need to do as an effective manager. That's what you need to do as an entrepreneur. You need to always be planning for that rainy day. Always be working on those fundamental things to improve. And the degree to which you do this and your competition doesn't, you're going to thrive when that rainy day does come. Your competition is going to be regretting that they relied so heavily on that windfall, easy, lazy returns and yields, where you were focused on increasing value. I hope this makes sense to you. And if you haven't really experienced this, then perhaps you're thinking there's not a lot of value in this discussion as it relates to you. But sometimes the wisdom that I'm trying to share with you may relate to a future scenario in your business. So put this, if this is not something that you've currently experiencing or have experienced in the past, put this back in your experience at the back of your mind and think, okay, I'll watch for that. I'll be careful because I don't want to become victim to that mentality should that happen. And this does happen. In business, there are ebbs and flows, there are ups and downs, there are mountains and valleys, and when you're experiencing some of those highs, you got to be careful. There's this nature in life in general, I think, this inclination that we have as people to gravitate to those comfort zones, to pleasure, and forget about, and be avoiding the pain all the time. I'm recommending the opposite. You need to seek out that discomfort. You need to get out of your comfort zone, and you need to do the hard work. Even when times are good, do the hard work. I think that's where I want to leave it today. I hope you got something out of this. Don't forget, we do have a form in the description that you can request a specific topic. You can ask a question, and you can do this anonymously where I won't share any of your personal information or your business information. We'll keep all that stuff proprietary, and we'll get as specific as you want to your industry, your geographic region. You can fill that out follow the link to that form. Or leave a comment. I really hope you'll leave some sort of comment. Have you experienced this? What other examples can the community who's watching this learn from? Leave a comment that we can all learn from, because we need to learn from one another. Perpetual refinement.